Well, hello again. It's time for your Sonic Boomers podcast, and we are your Sonic Boomers. I'm Pete Torriello.
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
And this week, we have a TV show recommendation for you.
Yes, it's a Netflix show,
Right.
which I kind of stumbled upon by accident. It's called The Chair.
Yeah. And it has nothing to do with, you're going to the chair, Rocky. It's the chair for you. Not that kind of a chair.
Not that kind. And not HGTV designer chairs
Yeah.
either.
So tell us about the chair. First of all, how did you find it?
It popped up as, because you watched X, you might like Y,
Yeah.
how Netflix will sometimes make recommendations. And I latched onto it because the main character is, I can't think of what her name is. She played Dr. Christina Yang on Grey's Anatomy.
Right, Sandra
Oh, right. And that caught my attention right there because I really like Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
So I, clicked in to watch it.
Yeah, and Sandra Oh is good.
She's excellent.
Fabulous.
She's a wonderful actress. And, it has some resonance with me because basically she plays the part of a department chair at a small private college the college is floundering. Donations are down, enrollment is down. They're trying to figure out how to survive in this post-COVID world and keep the college going.
Which a lot of colleges are doing now,
Absolutely.
especially the smaller ones.
Mm-hmm. And it also resonated with me because I worked for 10 years at a small private college.
Right.
So, all the stars were in alignment for me anyway to watch this show.
Did you find it to be accurate based upon what your experience was? Now, you weren't involved in teaching.
No, I
You
was
were-
in the development end, the
Right.
fundraising and alumni relations.
Right. So you weren't necessarily hobnobbing with the professors and stuff.
No, other than just, socially,
Yeah.
you would also often get thrown together on different projects or, whatever.
Or the ones that you were
Or the
working
ones-
with when you were working on your master's.
Right. So, I would say with an asterisk, there is a lot of similarity and a lot of truth in what they are talking about. I think they took all the worst case scenarios and piled it into one college, and I doubt that any college has all those problems. But I think that, there is a certain validity to some of the things that happen on that show.
Now, you and I watched it together,
Mm-hmm.
and to just kind of set the scene, Sandra Oh is the newly appointed head of the English department, right?
Yes.
In this little college.
Mm-hmm.
And on her first day, the head of the university gives her a list of people that she has to fire. Is that correct?
Yes, or encouraged to retire. They were all older people.
Because their enrollments were way down in their classes. They only
Right.
had 4 or 5 people in a class.
Right. These were like the tried and true professors that had been there for 30 years, who in their prime were excellent professors who used to be able to pack the hall, and now their relevancy is being questioned because they don't have the enrollment. And and because of tenure, they can't really be fired. So the list was given to Sandra to say, figure out a way to get these people off the grid. I don't care what you have to do, kind of thing. And she really respected them, and she was trying to stick up for them and say, no, these people gave us the best years of their lives. There's got to be another way. And she set out to try and save their jobs and their positions.
Did you find any of the characters, especially the professor characters, did you find them to be correct, accurate, or were they stereotypical, or what was your view on those characters and how they were portrayed?
I think they were stereotypical. There's the progressive female professor who was, embracing, women's studies and is a feminist. And then there's the old guy from, the old school who, doesn't budge and doesn't acknowledge that life has gone on. And then you've got the renegade guy who's like hip and the kids all love, and
but he gets in trouble.
And he gets in trouble because, some kid has it in for him. I think there's a lot of stereotyping going on.
Explain what happened to that one professor, because he's a key character in this. And he was like the hip, cool professor.
Right, that packed the hall, that, all the kids signed up for his class. And he was, I guess it was a history professor, and he was talking about that Nazis and the fascism and defining it. And in his explanation of what fascism was, he just said, like Heil Hitler. And he did the stance, and
right.
He just was saying it as an example. He was not saying Heil Hitler out of, any
he was
Nazi.
being like kind of cheeky, kind of tongue in cheek when he did it.
But some wise ass kid,
right,
photograph gets
got the camera going,
got the phone going, makes a video of it, and posts it, and it goes viral.
Yeah, and then they doctored it, right? Didn't they put him in a Nazi uniform or something?
They
and
made his face with a mustache, and they played with it. And the next thing you know, this guy's job is on the line. And it should never have been. But because this school is in such financial straits, they can't afford a lawsuit. They don't want the bad publicity. And this guy is, all he really had to do was apologize and say, okay, maybe that wasn't the best thing to have done, and it would have been over. But he takes a stand, and he's like, no, I'm not apologizing. I didn't do anything wrong, which he really didn't. But it becomes a confrontational thing.
Plus, there's a little twist in here, too, in that his department chairman, Sandra Oh, so I think he was an English teacher, wasn't he?
I thought it was history.
But she's his lover.
Or was.
Yeah. They have a relationship that goes on professional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was another, there's a lot of layers. It's like, peeling the onion when you're watching this show. And I don't want to overcomplicate it. Watch the show. You'll see what we're talking about. But so his whole career went up in smoke because of this video, basically, and because of his taking a stand.
The thing that I did not like about the show was that I thought it got a little too preachy, and it painted certain people as being good and certain people as being bad. And I'm not going to go into a big explanation on that. You watch the show and figure it out for yourself. But I thought it painted with some pretty broad brush strokes, and I thought that they were trying a little bit too hard to be up on the soapbox. Maybe with the show.
I could see where you could go in that direction. It wasn't immediately. That wasn't my first thought, but after I watched it first alone, and then we watched it together. So I've seen the series through twice, and watching it with you gives me a different perspective sometimes. And when you said that, I was like, yeah, I could kind of see that.
Yeah.
I think more importantly, they were trying to zero in on some issues that are relevant not only on college campuses, but just amongst the younger generation. Like I said before, feminism, the role of women being given roles of importance in management, being recognized for their accomplishments, those kind of things. And also the lack of representation of different ethnicities.
Diversity,
and
lack of diversity.
On college campuses and throughout the workplace, really. I mean, this could be extrapolated into almost any workplace, the issues that they're talking about, but they center it on the college, of course. And so I think, I think it makes some important statements to consider, but maybe they're overly done. I don't know.
I thought it was a little preachy. For me, it was issues that I think a lot of us are already aware of. I guess maybe some of us aren't, but many of us are. And the other thing that I really have a problem with is demonstrations on campus. And, we had them in our time. We were in college during the time of the Vietnam War, and there were campus demonstrations, and you certainly have a right to demonstrate, and you should demonstrate. But I got to tell you, I've got a problem when a bunch of kids, and I'm sorry, they're kids. They're kids. When we were 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, we thought we were adults.
Right.
Now you and I are in our 60s. And it's like I'm watching this, and these kids are taking over the dean's office, and they're out there making demands. And if you don't do this, there's going to be trouble on this campus. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, sit the hell down, you little squirt.
It's like the tail wagging the dog.
Really? Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Who the hell appointed you in charge of this university? You're coming in, because we had it happen at Seton Hall a while back. Remember, a group of students had taken over the president's office. And for Maureen and I, that was particularly egregious because we are both graduates of Seton Hall University. The classes of 19 blah, 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 and 19 blah, 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 blah. and to see this, these students in the offices of our alma mater making these demands, and no effort being made to remove them, by the way. And, this is why I'm not a university president, right? If I were
the only reason.
That's the only reason. I would have said, get the police in and get them the hell out of there and kick them the hell out of the university. Sorry. You want to stand outside and protest and hold up signs and chant and sing Kumbaya, whatever the heck it is you want to do. I'm fine with that. But you come in and you take over administration offices and you occupy a place.
Yeah, that's not right.
That's where you bring in the police and you pull these kids out and you kick them the hell out of the university and say, if you want to do that, take over offices, do it somewhere else. You're not doing it here.
Right. To me, that's criminal activity.
It really is.
It goes beyond free speech. Like you said, free speech, if they want to be outside, they want to hold a protest, even if they want to assemble, like, say, in a huge hall like the gym and do like a pep rally kind of thing or whatever, fine. But when they take over someone's private workspace, I think that's crossing the line.
And sometimes do damage.
Yes. I think that's really...
You have crossed the line.
Where the line goes.
You've gone from demonstrating and freedom of speech into criminal activity.
Absolutely.
That's the way I see it.
So the other thing that comes into play on the chair is the whole thing of pleasing the big donors, which that is something that sadly I had seen, and I'm not going to name names,
true.
And I'm not going to spill the beans.
And in any organization, even because you and I are very involved in the church and have been for a long time, and we've seen it too, where the big donors in the church, the big machers, want to call the shots. Because I donated this piano to this church. That was an $80,000 piano that I donated. I should have some rights to say what I think about what's going on around here.
Yeah.
So anytime you've got people that are footing the bill, they want to call the shots. They want to call the tune.
Yeah. Now, in this case, what had happened was there was a woman of color who was a professor. And she had done remarkable work. Her classes were extremely popular.
She had a very progressive way of teaching.
She was a rising star and, well deserved. There was some kind of a stipend award given to professors to recognize their achievement. And Sandra Oh's character wanted to recommend this woman to be the recipient that year. And she even made the announcement to the college at large that this was her choice and who she was nominating. Well, some of the muckety-mucks didn't see it that way, and they had a meeting with their trustees, and there was, some pet project person, and she was like, no, what we need is a name to come in here and shed a light on this university. And they decide that they're going to have David Duchovny
from
X-Files.
Yeah.
And other things. And he played himself in this.
Is he really an academic, David Duchovny?
That I don't know. But he played himself in this thing. He was not Mulder or whatever from X-Files. He was David Duchovny. And they offered the fellowship or whatever to him to come in and teach one class and, be the recipient and the honoree and get all the kudos that goes with it. And that was like set way did not sit with Sandra Oh very well at all. And this woman whom she was backing was going to leave the university because of it.
Got an offer from a more prestigious school.
Got a better offer. And, Sandra was like, we can't lose her. She's too good.
Yeah.
And they, it was kind of like, this is what happens. And that was like another aspect of university behind the scenes, peeking behind the curtain, so to speak, of the university process and fundraising and development. And there's a lot of little bit of manipulation that goes on. I'm not saying it's anything blatantly illegal or immoral, but, it's the kind of thing, well, all things being equal, if, Joe Big Bucks likes this and Joe Little Bucks likes this, well, we're going to give Joe Big Bucks.
I think I went to high school with Joe Little Bucks.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Money talks, nobody walks. Yeah,
kind of. Yeah, unfortunately, and
it is, as they say, it's how business is done.
Yeah, but what they will learn sometimes.
Yeah,
and I believe that this happened at the university that I worked at. There was a woman, alumni, gave minimally every year, faithfully, but she gave her $25 a year to the annual fund for years and years and years and years. They never paid her any attention. I mean, she got her thank you letter, she got her, bumper sticker and the swag that they send through the mail, and invites to whatever. But she was not wooed. She was not wined and dined. She was just part of the masses. Mm-hmm. When she died, she left the university a sizable amount. Yeah. I don't recall what it was.
Wasn't it like millions?
I don't know if it was millions, but it was.
I think I know who you're talking about. I'm not going to mention any names.
No, it's not a name that I even remember.
Oh, it isn't?
No.
Oh, okay. Because there was one woman who, again, I won't mention her name, but she was the one that used to be Harry Houdini's.
Oh no! They knew she had money.
Oh yeah, okay.
But
and they wooed and
wined
and dined her, I suspect.
Right. No, but this one was like under the radar, and when her will was probated or whatever, it was like we got several $100,000, I think it was, and it was like nobody expected
from a previous
that.
$25 giver.
Right.
Yeah.
And nobody expected that, and that should teach development people, I think, a lesson that don't. Every donor is important. Yeah. And, you could be losing out on something really good by ignoring the little guy.
Yeah. And we know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
We know what happens, all that we've kind of experienced it ourselves.
Yeah.
Every donor counts. Every donor counts, even that $25 donor, because one day that donor, like Maureen said, may pass and, you know what, could have left you $1 million or something. And you blew it just because you couldn't take the time to be nice.
Even if they don't.
Yeah.
Everybody
Everybody counts.
counts.
Everybody counts.
I hate this, putting people into categories and assessing their importance based on whatever criteria you set up. It's wrong,
Yeah.
I like to see everybody's equal, but some people are more equal than others.
Now, the good thing about the chair is that it's a 6-show commitment, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's 6 episodes, And what were they, like a half hour or
half hour,
something?
I think,
or
yeah.
They're not long episodes, and you can do it in a night. You can do it in a night, 6 episodes. If you had to. We did it in a couple of watchings, I think. And we don't know. We're not going to tell you how it ends because we're not sure that it has ended. I mean, there was an end to the season in the way that things kind of wrapped up, but we don't know. And so far, the network has been mum on as to whether or not they're going to do another season or not.
I mean, they were very clever in the way that they did it. It's like there's enough of a wrap up that if it ends, it's tied up. But there were a couple little doors left open that they could build another season upon if that's what they choose to do. And I think if they're smart, they will do at least one more season.
I think they should. It was a good show. Mm-hmm. Give it another season. The show is called The Chair. It is on Netflix, and Maureen and I highly recommend it. Well, son of a gun, it's time now for our trivia quiz here on the Boomer Podcast. Mm-hmm. And the questions come from the Baby Boomer edition of Trivial Pursuit. You know, it never occurred to me if we're breaking some kind of copyright law using these questions from Trivial Pursuit.
I don't know.
You know, we don't mean to break the law if we are, but at this point, come and get me. You know, because as my mom used to say, you can't get blood out of a stone.
Yeah,
Peter.
I was gonna say I got $1.98. I'll chip in for the.
There is attention, high-priced lawyers. There is no money in this for you. Just so you know. Excuse me. Okay, you got a question for me?
Sure. This is from the publishing category. Publisher. Okay. What magazine's Music Hall of Fame did Bob Dylan, John Lennon, and Paul McCartney make it into in 1970?
What magazine's
Music Hall of Fame?
Music Hall of Fame.
Dylan, Lennon, and McCartney.
I think I know this, but it seems too easy.
Okay.
Was it Rolling Stone?
No. Truthfully, when I read this, I was going to guess Billboard.
Yeah.
But it's not either one of those. It's Playboy.
Really?
Yeah.
Gee.
So
I've read many of the articles in Playboy. All right, let me try you. I haven't even looked at. This one's too easy. I can't do this one. This one is too easy. No, I'm not doing that. Let's do, because she'll get this like that. Trust me. I'm even going to tell you what the question was. This is not an official question, but I'm going to tell you what the question was. Who was Pope between June 4th? Well, wait a minute. Maybe this is a good question. Hang on. Oh, okay. Wait, I'm going to do it. It is a good one.
Okay.
Because it's not the answer that I thought it was going to be.
All right.
Okay, here we come. Who was Pope between June 4th and June 20th, 1963? Who was Pope?
1963.
Between June 4th and June 20th, 1963.
Pius XII.
No one.
Oh,
there
that's
was
not
no
a fair
Pope.
Question.
The Pope had died. That was John the 23rd, right? Or was it?
Yes, John the 23rd.
John the 23rd died.
Right,
and they were in the papal election process, so there was no Pope.
That's not a fair question.
I'm glad I went back to that one because
it's like there should have been like a multiple choice. Like, that's not fair.
When I looked at it,
I thought it had to be a real answer. Like,
when I looked at it and it said who's Pope between June blah 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 1963, I'm thinking to myself, oh, Maureen is going to know that's John the 23rd. It's John the 23rd. Then I looked at the back of the card and it says no one. And I'm like, oh, son of a gun. He had died and they were in the election process.
I know John the 23rd, the Vatican Council and all like that was like in 60 to 62 or 63. During, he, of course, started it. But when you said June to June, I was thinking it had to be a short term, and he had a long term. So I was kind of like thrown by that. But okay, good on you.
And I think that he was, and I think you'll agree with me, he was probably one of the best popes that they ever had.
Oh, I love
John the
him.
23rd.
Yeah.
Just a dear, sweet man, a sad man.
Yes.
They used to call him the smiling pope because he always used to smile publicly, and he adored the people, and he always used to say when he would do a papal audience, he would always say, "Go home to your families and tell your children the Holy Father loves them."
That's sweet.
And he really did remarkable things with the church that unfortunately they're trying to undo now, but that's another show.
That's a whole
nother show
yeah.
entirely. So for now, I'm Pete Torriello.
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
And join us again soon for another edition of the Sonic Boomers Podcast.